Alright, this is number 16 and 17, which I opted not to. Well, I did it with the calculator, but it was. The calculator gives you, it takes these radicals, like radical 7 here in this problem, and it changes it into a decimal. And then here you got 5 times that. So if you're doing it with a calculator, you get an answer that has decimals. You'd have to take each one of these and figure out as a decimal which one would look like the answer your calculator gave you. That would be kind of time consuming because all these answers are pretty close together. I mean the pluses and the minuses and everything else. So that would take some time. So sometimes you just gotta suck it up and just do it. So that's what we're gonna do here. Number 16, 8 plus radical 7i divided by 5 minus 3i. Now I'm pretty darn sure that since all the answers have 34 in the denominator, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. In either case, we have to simplify this. You can't leave I in the denominator. You have to do what's called rationalization, and you rationalize this by multiplying both numerator and denominator by the conjugate of 5 minus 3i, which is 5 plus 3i. 5 plus 3i. Now the denominator is not a big issue because these two differ just by sign. So the middle term is going to cancel out when I FOIL. This is going to give me a positive 15i. My inside term would be a minus 15. So all that being said, all I have to do is multiply the first and last terms. 5 5s are 25. A minus 3 times a positive 3 is a minus 9. I times I is I to the second. And by definition, I to the second is negative 1. So this becomes 25 plus 9. Yeah, as we figured, the denominator would be 34. So that's not the issue. It's the numerator. Alright, it's the numerator that's going to take us some time here. So let's see what we got. 8 plus 7, radical 7 already. Radical 7i times 5 plus 3i. Let me FOIL this out. 8 5s, that's 40. My outside terms, 8 times 3 is 24 times I is I. Inside terms, 5 times radical 7 is 5 radical 7i. And then the last terms, you get 3 times radical 7 plus 3 times radical 7. I times I is I to the second. So 40 plus 24i plus 5 radical 7i. Let's see, this guy here is a negative 1. Negative 1 times a positive 3 would be a negative 3 radical 7. Alright, so there's two portions of this that contain the letter I, the last term. So this is all here again, all over 34. So, in fact, these two terms contain the letter I. So we rewrite this numerator as 4 minus 3 radical 7. 40 minus 3 radical 7. Plus 24i plus 5 radical 7i. And all of this over 34. Now I'm going to separate these first two terms over this denominator. So 40 minus 3 radical 7 over 34 plus the last two terms. This would be 24i plus 5 radical 7i over 34. And let's see if this looks like something we can deal with. Well, 40 minus 3 radical 7, 40 minus 3 radical 7, 40 minus 3 radical 7, 40. So the one I can kick out of is that, because C, B, and D all have this first part right here. Alright, they all have that 40 minus 3 radical 7. It's there, it's there, it's there. Now what about the last part? What he does here is he factors out an I out of the numerator. Alright, so if I factor out an I, it's no longer here, it's no longer there. So I get 24. 24 plus 5 radical 7. And you see it right here, 24 plus 5 radical 7 over 34 over 34. Take some time. Take some time. Alright. And now you got to be precise. You got to know FOIL. And remember, I squared is negative 1. Combine like terms. Separate these two. But unfortunately, that's the only way you can do that. Unless you want to play that game with a calculator. Get an answer that's in decimal form. Take each one of the 4 answers, change it to decimal form, and then match it up to what's going on with your calculator. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to suck it up. Radical 7 plus 7i over 9 minus 2i. Alright, pretty sure the denominator is going to be 85 since all the answers have 85. But anyways, I need to multiply this by its conjugate. The conjugate of 9 minus 2i is 9 plus 2i. 9 plus 2i, both numerator and denominator. Now, in FOILing this out, middle term is going to cancel out here. Positive 18i would cancel out with a minus 18i. So I'm just multiplying the first terms and last terms. 9 times 9 is 81. A minus times a positive is a minus. 2 times 2 is 4. I times I is I squared. 81 minus 4i squared is negative 1. So 81 plus 4. Yeah, no surprise that the denominator is 85. We didn't even have to do this. We knew the denominator was going to be that. Now the question becomes, can I do this properly? Radical 7 plus 7i times 9 plus 2i. Alright, product of the first terms. If I make sure I get this written right. 7 plus 7i times 9 plus 2i. That looks good. So product of the first terms. 9 radical 7. Outside terms would be 2 radical 7i plus 2 radical 7i. Inside terms, 9 times 7 is 63 times I is a positive 63i. Outside terms, 7 times 2 is 14. I times I is I squared, but I squared is going to be negative 1. So I'm going to take care of that right now. I times I is I squared, but I squared is negative 1, so I can take care of that right now. So what do we got here? Well, this term contains an I, this term contains an I. Alright, so I'm going to put these first and the last terms side by side. And I'm going to say 9, well, let me do this. 14 times a negative 1, that's a negative 14. Alright, so I took care of that. Plus 9 radical 7. 9 radical 7. And, what are the numbers? This is number 17. Number 17. So already, I'm looking at this. I see minus 14 plus 9 radical 7 here. Alright. Minus 14 plus 9 radical 7 there. I don't see it in letter B, but I do see it. So 3 out of the 4 have the right portion, the correct portion here. Now what's the rest of this? 2 terms that contain I. So what do we got? 63 I and 2 radical 7I. Now this is all over my denominator of 85. So I'm going to separate these two. Minus 14 plus 9 radical 7 all over 85 plus, putting these two terms over the same thing. So what have I got? 63 I plus 2 radical 7I all over 85. Factoring out the I out of the numerator, I'm going to pull it out, which means I don't have it here and I don't have it there. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for 63 plus 2 radical 7 over 85I. 63 number 17. Number 17. Alright. Now even This is even to the very end. Look at this is what I got for an answer, right? I got a plus sign here. Notice these two are exactly the same, and he messes with you because that has the minus, and that's the one that you're looking for with the plus sign. All right, so even to the very end, he kind of plays games with you. It's letter A and not letter D. I mean, whatever, foiling. Yeah, hopefully you only see one of these on your exam. It takes time, but then again, it is college, I guess. I know.